Tunnet is a game about building a computer network in a tunnel. A tunnel network. A tunnet. In Tunnet, you have a mainframe which sends out packets addressed to endpoints, and you connect them together, and every time an endpoint receives a packet addressed to it, you get money. You use the money to buy better tools to go to more endpoints, and also for basically everything else, for placing relays and hubs, to digging out more space. It's really for everything. And the money it costs to do anything scales with, I think, distance from the starting area. Can't be sure on that though, it's not really explained, but I think that's the case. Because the gameplay is so logistics based with trying to get the correct packets to the correct endpoints in the least amount of time so you can generate the most revenue that has scaling costs, I'm gonna say that it's most similar to Factorio in terms of gameplay. That being said, it's quite a lot easier than Factorio to manage everything. I pretty much daisy chained everything together without giving any thought to it initially, and I was generating plenty of money. And also similar to Factorio, it's not just the logistics going on here, there are also enemies, although these enemies are more similar to Satisfactory than Factorio because they don't go after you, they kind of just block your way until you deal with them. And there's also a main quest line that you can complete and see the credits. I'm going to try and not spoil that for this video though. Speaking of spoilers, the rest of this review is going to have minor gameplay spoilers, so keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and talk about what I liked and I didn't like, starting with logistics. So first of all, placing everything down is pretty easy and simple. They're all wired automatically, although sometimes the wires will connect to things you don't want to, but you could always place them down without wires and do it manually. And with how cramped everything is, it's kind of a shame that the things you place down will block your movement. It makes it even more cramped than it really needs to be, although I guess that could be a positive if you consider it part of the atmosphere. Regardless, optimizing the network though, the real logistics of it, is hard actually. It's hard mostly because you don't know what packets are going to be sent by any mainframe or endpoint without just watching them. You just gotta have to sit there and watch them as they go out. That's boring. Until you get a certain expensive upgrade, but by the time I had that personally, I was basically at the end of the game. And even if you do get that upgrade, you have to wait for it to log all the packets that are being sent out of it anyway. Luckily for us, it's not super important to fully optimize your network. I thought that it was going to be fun. I was excited to optimize my network, but I decided to go ahead and connect every mainframe together first. Spoilers, by the way, but once you connect all the mainframes together, you're pretty much at the end of the game. And so by the time that I did all that, I found out, hey, that's it. There's nothing to optimize for anymore. I would have liked some sort of optimization challenge, some sort of logistical challenge where you need a super big amount of money or you need your packets to be sent perfectly to the right spots. Instead, you get little small puzzle rooms that are isolated from your network, really. They give you money, sure, but they're just small puzzle rooms that don't rely on the rest of your network at all. In fact, and this is a major spoiler for the end of the game, that is what the final challenge is. Once you've connected all 4 mainframes together, you just do... It's hard to call it even an optimization challenge. It's just a small, annoying room with a ton of wires you have to take care of. You connect it all together, and that's it. It has nothing to do with the network that you've built before, nothing to do with making sure everything's optimized or anything like that. You just daisy chain everything together. And so that was kind of a disappointment. The tools for making a cool network are all there, the way that you control the hubs, but it didn't amount to anything in the end, so you kind of have to make your own reasons to have an optimized network. Okay, and so logistics is the meat of the game, but there are also some other aspects to it too, most notably the enemies. I personally think the enemies were a waste of time. They just get in your way. They only are in one area. Well, they each individually have their own one area, and that's nice, so they don't get in your way, but there's no way to deal with them other than stealthing around them, I guess, slowly walking around them. You can't kill them. Stealthing around them is difficult. They're just annoying, and I ended up disabling them in the end because I wanted to really focus on the logistics and the exploration rather than the annoying, unavoidable deaths. I think they're supposed to be important to the lore, but I'm not really a big lore or story guy. I'm actually not going to be touching on it basically at all in this video. And so, yeah, they have to be there for lore and story reasons, but for gameplay reasons, I didn't like them. And I specifically really didn't like the hackers. They are particularly annoying. I didn't understand them at all. I had to look stuff up, and there's much online to even look up. But basically, they kill you if you get too close. I had to find that out the hard way. And what they do is they ruin your network and they ruin your endpoints by sending evil packets, which you only can really tell that if you watch the wires without getting too close to them, of course, and see that the packets are red and have weird subject lines. And you have to figure out that, okay, you got to stop these packets from going to all your endpoints. Somehow you have to figure that out. And somehow you have to block them when you may or may not have filters enabled, and filters are practically useless for the first level of filters. So I don't know. At least they have more gameplay relevance than the other enemies because they actually affect your network. The logistics aspects, yeah, I've been going on and on about logistics. That's the point of the game, if you ask me. So they're more relevant than the other enemies, but they're also extremely annoying and even more difficult to comprehend. Alright, great. And with all those nitpicks out of the way, I want to say in conclusion, I liked the game. The atmosphere is awesome. You know, it's kind of dark and scary, but not too scary. It's lonesome, but not without a handful of NPCs, some of whom give you quests that I didn't go over. The logistics are fun, getting the packets to the right spots and seeing your money go up and seeing it go up even faster if you get your optimization right. Yeah, just the enemies and the end game really didn't get me, but the basis of the game is cool and it was a great experience to complete. I don't want to give it an X out of 10 rating or anything like that. I just want to say I recommend it. It has a demo available on Steam. You can buy it on itch or Steam. Give it a shot. Tunnet is cool.